Imagine being in your 70s, living alone, and realizing that there's no one around to help when something goes wrong. What happens next? Today, we're diving into the real risks elderly people face when they have no one to care for them, and, more importantly, how they can stay safe and thrive while living alone. Let's start by asking, what happens when an elderly person is left without caregivers? Take Bob, for example. Bob is in his early 80s, lives alone in his small home, and hasn't had a visit from his family in weeks. One evening, as he's heading to the bathroom, he slips and falls. He's all alone, unable to get up, and there's no one nearby to help. What do you think happens next? For many seniors, this is a harsh reality. Without someone to care for them, the risks become real. But it doesn't have to be this way. Today, I'll share 5 practical safety tips that can help any elderly person living alone stay safe, secure, and independent. So if you or someone you know is living alone, keep watching to learn how to avoid these dangers and live with confidence. Point number 1, the physical risks. A sudden fall. One of the most alarming risks for elderly people living alone is a sudden fall. Just like Ellen, a 76-year-old woman who was making a cup of tea one afternoon, falls can happen in the blink of an eye. As she reached for the kettle, Ellen lost her balance, and before she knew it, she was on the floor. She had broken her hip in the fall, but in her moment of pain and panic, she couldn't reach the phone. Hours went by before her neighbor noticed that something was wrong and came over to check on her. Unfortunately, by then, it was too late for a quick recovery. Ellen's life changed that day, all because of one unexpected fall. Falls are actually the leading cause of injury among older adults, particularly for those who live alone. According to research, 1 in 4 seniors will experience a fall every year, and the impact can be devastating. What makes it even more dangerous for elderly individuals without caregivers is that when a fall occurs, they may not be able to get up, call for help, or even get medical attention right away. This can lead to long recovery times, serious complications, or even death. The risk of falls is especially high in areas like bathrooms, kitchens, and hallways where slippery surfaces and clutter can easily cause an accident. So, what can we do to help prevent falls and make sure our loved ones stay safe at home? First, it's essential to focus on making the home safer. Installing grab bars in the bathroom, especially near the toilet and in the shower, can provide that extra support and prevent a slip. Make sure there are no tripping hazards like loose rugs, electrical cords, or clutter that could cause a fall. And don't forget to check the lighting. Poor visibility can lead to accidents, so ensure that hallways and staircases are well lit. Another critical safety measure is the use of a medical alert system. This is a life-saving tool, especially for seniors living alone. A medical alert system allows someone to call for help with the press of a button if they fall or feel unwell. These systems typically come with a wearable pendant or bracelet, so no matter where the person is in the house, they can always have a way to reach out for help. It's a simple but effective solution that gives both the elderly person and their family peace of mind. By taking these proactive steps, we can dramatically reduce the risks that come with living alone. Ellen's story is a stark reminder of just how quickly things can go wrong, but with a few adjustments to the home and the use of technology, elderly people can live independently while staying safe. Point number 2. Mental health challenges. Loneliness. For many elderly people living alone, the emotional toll of loneliness can be just as dangerous as physical health risks. Take Frank, for example. Frank, 80 years old, spent most of his days alone after his wife passed away. At first, he managed to keep busy with his hobbies and occasional visits from family. But as the weeks turned into months, Frank started to feel more and more isolated. His friends were either too busy or had passed away, and his family lived far away. As the silence in his home grew louder, Frank found himself retreating further into his own world, feeling more disconnected from everything. Unfortunately, this isolation led to depression, and Frank began to struggle even with the small things. It became harder for him to get motivated, and his health started to decline as a result of his emotional state. Loneliness is a significant issue for elderly individuals, particularly those who live alone. Studies show that isolation can lead to depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline. In fact, studies have linked social isolation with an increased risk of heart disease and other serious conditions. Without regular social interactions, elderly people can begin to feel forgotten, unnoticed, and disconnected from the world around them. This emotional isolation can have a profound effect on their overall well-being and quality of life. So how can we help combat loneliness and keep our loved ones emotionally healthy? One of the most effective ways is by encouraging the use of technology to stay connected. Video calls with family members or friends can make a huge difference in reducing feelings of isolation. For example, using platforms like Zoom, Skype, or FaceTime can help elderly people feel more connected and engaged with the world outside their homes. Social media can also be a great tool for staying in touch, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or other platforms, where they can interact with family and friends and even join online communities or groups. Another simple but powerful way to combat loneliness is by encouraging regular phone calls with friends, family, or neighbors. A quick check-in, even if it's just a 10-minute chat, can make all the difference in helping an elderly person feel seen and heard. Neighbors or local community members can also be a great resource for providing social interaction and offering support. Regular conversations can help elderly individuals feel less isolated and more engaged with their community. By prioritizing social connections, we can help combat the devastating effects of loneliness and improve the mental well-being of elderly people living alone. It doesn't take much, just a few small steps to make sure they don't feel alone in the world. Frank's story is a reminder that mental health matters just as much as physical health, and it's important to provide emotional support to help them thrive. Point number 3. Health management, medication mistakes. For elderly individuals living alone, managing medications can be one of the most challenging aspects of staying healthy. Janet, 70 years old, was responsible for managing her blood pressure medication on her own. She had multiple prescriptions to juggle, and it wasn't always easy to remember when or what to take. One day, in a rush, Janet mistakenly doubled her dose of blood pressure medication because she forgot she had already taken it earlier in the morning. Unfortunately, the consequences were serious. A sudden drop in her blood pressure caused her to feel dizzy and weak, and she ended up having to make an emergency trip to the hospital. What started as a simple mistake turned into a life-threatening situation, all because of the challenges of managing medication alone. Medication mistakes are more common than you might think, and they can have devastating consequences. Seniors often have to manage several medications at once, which can be confusing and overwhelming. Forgetting doses, taking the wrong medication, or accidentally doubling a dose can all happen, especially when there's no one around to offer a reminder or check in. In fact, research shows that medication errors are one of the leading causes of hospitalization for older adults. Without proper help or organization, the risks of incorrect medication use increase significantly. So, what can be done to reduce the likelihood of medication mistakes? One of the best ways to manage medications safely is by using a pill organizer. These organizers have compartments for each day of the week or even multiple times a day, making it easier to keep track of which pills need to be taken. Janet could have avoided her mistake by using a simple pill organizer to separate her doses and ensure she wasn't accidentally doubling up. Along with using a pill organizer, setting reminders on a phone or through a medication management app can be incredibly helpful. These reminders can serve as extra assurance that medications are taken on time and in the correct amount. Another great solution is to look into online pharmacy services that offer medication delivery and management support. Many online pharmacies now provide convenient options to have prescriptions delivered right to the door, and some even offer medication synchronization, so all prescriptions are filled at the same time, simplifying the process. Additionally, many of these services offer medication management programs that can help track medications, remind the user when to take them, and even check for potential interactions between different drugs. By utilizing these services, elderly individuals can get the support they need to manage their health safely without the risk of missing doses or making harmful mistakes. Medication management doesn't have to be a source of anxiety or danger. With the right tools and resources, elderly people living alone can stay on top of their medications, ensuring that they remain as healthy and independent as possible. Janet's story is a cautionary tale of how something as simple as a medication mistake can spiral into a serious health crisis. But it also highlights that there are solutions available to make this process safer and more manageable. Point number 4. Emergency preparedness. No one around in a crisis. Emergencies can happen at any moment, and for elderly people living alone, the risks are especially high. Take Tom, for instance. At 85 years old, Tom had lived a full life, but one afternoon he began to feel unwell. He was experiencing some unusual symptoms, but he didn't want to worry anyone or make a fuss. He assumed it wasn't that serious, so he waited it out, thinking the discomfort would pass. Unfortunately, what he didn't realize was that he was having a stroke. By the time Tom realized how severe his condition was, it was too late. He had no one around to help him. Without immediate medical attention, his recovery was much more complicated, and his health was permanently affected. This is a heartbreaking reminder that seniors can sometimes be unaware of the severity of a medical issue and hesitate to ask for help. Many elderly people try to tough it out or avoid bothering others, which can delay the intervention they need in critical moments. Whether it's a heart attack, stroke, or any other medical emergency, not getting the right help quickly can lead to devastating consequences. It's vital that we help our elderly loved ones recognize when something is truly wrong and encourage them to reach out for help immediately. So, what can be done to ensure they're prepared in case of an emergency? One important step is creating a clear emergency plan. This plan should include detailed instructions for neighbors, nearby family members, or friends, so they know what to do if an emergency arises. For example, if the person feels unwell and can't get to the phone, having a trusted neighbor who knows to check in or call for help can make all the difference. Another crucial tip is to ensure that emergency numbers are saved and easily visible. This means having a list of local emergency services, family members, and a trusted contact visible on the fridge, near the phone, or even stored in the elderly person's phone. With these numbers on hand, In case of an emergency, they or someone nearby can reach help without delay. It's also important that a trusted contact is available at all times to act as a go-between in case of a medical issue, especially if the elderly person is not able to speak clearly or explain their symptoms. By putting these emergency preparations in place, elderly individuals can be better equipped to handle unexpected situations and avoid waiting until it's too late. Tom's story is a reminder of how quickly a medical emergency can turn into a crisis when there's no one around to help. But with the right planning and support system, seniors can stay safe and have peace of mind knowing that help is always within reach. Point number 5. Financial exploitation. Scams targeting seniors. Another major risk for elderly individuals living alone is financial exploitation, especially when it comes to scams. Let's take a look at Margaret's story. At 79 years old, Margaret was going about her day when she received a call from someone claiming to be her grandson. The voice on the other end sounded urgent and distressed, saying he was in serious trouble and needed money immediately. Without hesitation, Margaret wired thousands of dollars, believing she was helping her beloved grandson. It wasn't until days later that she found out the truth. She had been scammed by someone pretending to be family. Margaret was devastated not just by the financial loss, but by the betrayal of someone taking advantage of her trust. Unfortunately, scams targeting seniors are all too common, and elderly individuals are particularly vulnerable to this kind of exploitation. Scammers often prey on their emotions, trust, and sometimes even cognitive decline, using tactics that seem legitimate and urgent. Common scams involve fake calls from family members in distress, fraudulent lottery winnings, or offers of fake medical services. The scammers are experts at creating a sense of panic, making it difficult for seniors to think clearly before acting. To help protect elderly loved ones from these types of scams, it's important to set up clear boundaries and warnings. First, warn against unsolicited calls. Explain to seniors that they should never provide personal or financial information over the phone to unknown callers, especially when the caller claims to be a relative or friend in need. It's always a good idea to verify any request by calling the person directly. Don't just rely on the information given in the call. Teach them about common scams and red flags like requests for wire transfers or money orders, and remind them that legitimate businesses will never ask for money in this manner. Another effective solution is to set up a financial monitoring system or have a trusted family member help manage their finances. For example, setting up automatic bill payments or having someone review bank statements regularly can ensure that no unusual or suspicious activity goes unnoticed. Having a trusted person involved in managing finances gives the elderly individual an extra layer of protection and peace of mind, knowing that there's someone looking out for them and helping to catch potential fraud before it's too late. Margaret's story is a painful reminder of how easy it is for scammers to exploit elderly individuals, but with the right precautions in place, we can help protect them. By teaching them about the dangers of financial scams and involving a trusted family member in financial management, we can significantly reduce the risk of exploitation and ensure that seniors feel safe and secure in their financial lives. Conclusion. To wrap up, living alone as an elderly person comes with real challenges, but with the right precautions and support, they can stay safe and independent. Remember to focus on safety at home, stay connected socially, manage health carefully, prepare for emergencies, and protect against scams. Thank you so much for watching. If you found these tips helpful, please leave a comment below with either a 9 if you're already taking steps to ensure safety, or a 0 if this video opened your eyes to some new ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.